Hey everyone, welcome back to Evan's channel. Today we're breaking down Game 4 of this year's NBA Finals. We'll mainly look at the Spurs offense, while also discussing the strengths and weaknesses of Victor Wembanyama. This game is a great example. The Spurs built a 29-point lead, but still ended up losing. Let's start from the beginning. The Spurs opened the game with a pick and roll between one of their guards and Wembanyama.
Just getting his hands on the
Because Wembanyama is so tall and long, he is always a major lob threat when he rolls to the basket. On this play, the entire Knicks defense shifts toward the ball side. That leaves Devin Vassell wide open on the weak side. The Spurs did a great job of converting these open three-point opportunities early in the game.
basketball. Devin Vassell knocks down the three-pointer.
On the next play, Castle and Wembanyama run another pick and roll. Wembanyama pops out instead of rolling.
It's a huge call. Minute into the game, and Karl-Anthony Towns.
He uses a shot fake but watch the defender. Even when Wembanyama looks ready to shoot, the defender still does not close out aggressively. This tells us something important. The Knicks do not truly fear his three-point shot. They respect it to some extent, but not enough to change their entire defensive structure. His shooting is not consistent enough yet to repeatedly punish this coverage.
Is out with two.
Wembanyama then drives to his left. The space is already tight, and Brunson gives a quick stunt from the help position. As soon as that happens, Wembanyama picks up his dribble. Normally, this would become an offensive dead end.
Wembanyama goes.
However, because he is so tall, he can still float the ball over the defense and score.
Mitchell Robinson, who comes in, bank shot, soft touch, drops in.
This play shows that he can attack off the dribble, but it is not yet a dominant part of his game. The biggest issue is his strength. Before Wembanyama even received the ball, Castle had already drawn the attention of two defenders. As a result, Wembanyama was attacking in a much easier situation. He was not breaking the defense by himself. When Towns was guarding him, and the Knicks had already established their half-court defense, Wembanyama's offense was much less effective. Because Towns got into foul trouble, the Knicks eventually had to use Mitchell Robinson to guard Wembanyama. On the next play, the Spurs run another high pick and roll. The Knicks help on the ball, rotate slightly late, and the Spurs create another open three.
Interesting to see how long Towns sits with the two fouls in the opening minutes. Champagnie nearly tripped. Corner three, the sail, 2 for 2.
Then the Spurs clear out one side of the floor for Wembanyama and let him isolate. This is a relatively simple offensive situation. Wembanyama uses a shot fake, gets the defender into the air, and finishes with a step through. It looks very smooth. But why does it look so easy? Because it is still the first quarter and the defense is not applying much physical pressure yet. When there is no strong body contact, Wembanyama's flexibility and movement look excellent. But once defenders begin pushing him away from his preferred spots and forcing him to play through contact, things become much more difficult. After that, the Spurs keep hitting threes.
Good ball movement. Vassell straight on. Castle three-pointer. Got that.
Pull-up threes, contested threes, and even more threes.
Jose Alvarado's in. Fox fires away. Another three goes down. Taking over for a legend, coaching this young team. Fox nails the three-pointer, the hot shooting.
They made a huge number of outside shots in the first half. This is also one of the ways a weaker team can beat a stronger team. Play fast. Take more threes. Create more possessions. Increase the variance of the game. The more unpredictable the game becomes, the greater the underdog's chance of winning. Even Fox made a difficult late clock three to salvage a broken possession. But this style of offense is risky. Once the defense becomes more aggressive and the outside shots stop falling, everything becomes harder. Players start to hesitate, driving lanes disappear, the ball keeps moving, but the offense does not create any real advantage. Eventually, nobody can break the defense and the entire offense begins to stall. Now let's move to the fourth quarter.
Harper spins. Harper gets inside. Layup is good.
Here, Harper attacks single coverage. He drives to his right, gains half a step, and then deliberately slows down. He uses the defender's body contact to flow into a spin move and avoid the help defender. Then he finishes strongly at the rim. Harper has been very impressive during the playoffs. When the Spurs need someone to create a difficult shot in the half court, he has shown that he can do it. Let's look at the next play.
Points.
The Knicks' defense is already set. The Spurs pass the ball around the perimeter, but nobody can create an advantage. Eventually, they settle for a contested three and miss. The shot itself is not necessarily terrible, but the problem is the process. Three-point shooting is inherently inconsistent. When a team keeps shooting threes without first bending the defense, it becomes very difficult to produce stable offense. Missed threes also create long rebounds and transition opportunities for the opposing team. When this continues to happen, the offense can essentially push itself into collapse. That is why the Spurs eventually try to create more offense in the half court. Let's look at the next play.
Do that. They try another alley-oop. Can't get it to fall. Fight. Ball knocked loose. Hart.
Castle immediately tries to throw a lob to Wemby. But in the fourth quarter, with fatigue setting in and the defensive pressure increasing, this action becomes much more difficult to execute. It is simply too easy to read. This possession also shows some of Wemby's current limitations. His low post skills and ability to establish position through contact are still not strong enough. As a result, he relies heavily on relatively simple actions that allow him to use his height. The Knicks take away the lob and immediately attack in transition.
Picks it up. Beautiful pass inside. Bridges banks it home.
Now look at the next play. Wemby receives the ball in isolation again.
Knicks get the stop, get the ball back. Karl-Anthony Towns, 3 shots to this point. I know foul trouble affected.
As we saw earlier, he looks smooth when there is no significant body contact. But his available options are still limited. Most of the time, he relies on a one-dribble pull-up. There is a slight similarity to Tracy McGrady. However, McGrady was stronger, jumped higher, and had a much more dangerous pull-up jumper. Because Wemby has fewer reliable options, defenders can anticipate the one-dribble pull-up more easily. This shot hits the front of the rim.
Score 3 shots this deep into the...
On the next play, Wemby attempts to cut toward the basket, but the interior defender physically pushes him away from his intended path. That prevents him from receiving the lob. The Spurs are forced to take a difficult three to salvage the possession.
The game is unacceptable.
Castle. Shot clock winding down. Is going to have to put it up. Good defense from Hart. Castle, tough shot. Well short.
It becomes an air ball. At this point, the Spurs are in serious trouble. On the next possession, Wemby sets a screen, but he still cannot create any real pressure inside. That means Fox has to take over. He faces heavy defensive pressure, passes the ball back outside, and then relocates to receive it again. He hits a difficult three at the end of the shot clock. The shot goes in, but the process is still poor. The Spurs did not break the defense. They simply made a very difficult shot. On the other side of the floor, Brunson is producing a completely different level of half-court creation. Against single coverage, he can repeatedly create advantages. His shot creation in this game almost feels equivalent to the combined creation of the Spurs' 3 guards.
Brunson with Wemby on him. Drives, pulls back.
Because Brunson can beat his primary defender and force the help defense to react, he also creates opportunities for his teammates. That is how the Knicks gradually reduce the deficit. Brunson eventually hits a 3 over Wemby.
Shot clock at 5. Brunson fires up a 3. Puts it in!
Then, after Wemby misses both free throws, Brunson attacks again and converts a floater to give the Knicks the lead.
Shot clock at 6. Castle on him now. Brunson, stutter dribble, drives inside, goes up, floaters up. It's good! The Knicks take the...
Brunson is not an exceptionally fast player, but he is strong, balanced, and equipped with a deep scoring package. He can score from almost every area of the floor. Defenders cannot stop him simply by taking away one move or one scoring option. Finally, Anunoby scores the game-winning putback. The Knicks complete a 29-point comeback. For the Spurs, this game demonstrates both sides of their offense. When their three-point shots are falling and the defense is not applying much physical pressure, they look excellent. But when the opposing defense becomes organized and physical, they struggle to consistently create high-quality shots. Victor Wembanyama clearly has enormous potential, but his strength and low-post game still need significant improvement. The Spurs also lack a reliable half-court creator. Harper has shown some promising signs, but the sample size is still limited. As for Fox, his overall all-impact in these situations feels fairly average. That's all for today's breakdown. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and share it with others. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.